and welcome back to a new episode of Two Coaches, One Grizz. We took a little bit of a week break there, a little bit of a hiatus for the holidays and some COVID concerns, but everyone's doing well.
An unplanned hiatus.
An unplanned hiatus. But thankfully everybody's doing well. Gentlemen, talk to me. How are we doing tonight?
Well, it's good to be back. Definitely good to be back. Missed it last week. A lot of things have been going on over the last 8-9 days that pertain to what we do and what we talk about. So it's good to be here and be able to talk and get some of these things going again.
Grizz, how we doing, buddy?
Oh, we're doing great. And yeah, just to hype on all that, even Two Coaches and One Grizz is susceptible to the COVID. It's susceptible to the holidays and our families. And we need a little break, catch up on things. And boy, did we miss out on a few things.
Amen. Let's jump right into it, gentlemen. Let's start off with the old finger pistols getting the boot finally from Jacksonville. Coach, I know you're rearing to go here. So
the kicker.
He
kicked the kicker. You know, and I mean, again, I don't even know. I don't even know where to begin with this one. He just, I guess, I don't even know where his mind was or what he was thinking. Maybe he was trying to motivate the guy some way. I mean, I don't know. You know, obviously he made too many mistakes, was getting paid too much money, and wasn't winning enough games. Didn't win anything, wasn't able to move on, wasn't able to get the team going in any type of direction. For goodness sakes, Dan Campbell, the knee biter, is doing much better with the Lions, you know, and has them winning and upsetting teams. And our boy Two Finger Willie over here couldn't do anything.
So let's look at that, because it's super interesting when you look at the dichotomy between those two teams, right? You have the Lions, who are 2-12 at this point.
Don't forget their tie.
And their tie, right? Okay, 2-12-1. But they play hard every week, right? They've been competitive in every. They've had 3 or 4 wins stolen from them. That team has never given up, and Dan Campbell has kept them together, and that team fights. Now, on the other hand,
if you were betting money on them, you'd be winning. Because they cover.
They do.
They cover.
We love when they cover.
Now, on the other hand, you have the Jaguars, who are 2-13, okay? And yes, very young team. They're bereft on talent, all that stuff. But their culture is rotten.
Starts at the top.
And started at the top. And, you know, again, there were many pundits have said or did say before he even took the field that they were skeptical of this decision because of the person that he was and the type of individual that he was. We all thought that he was going to finish the season. But of
Not
course...
me.
But of course,
the Grizz was on point.
It starts.
Nah, I thought he was going to be fired at the end of the season.
Everything starts coming to light.
But if you kick a kicker,
there you go. You get the boot.
It's just culture, you know. It boils down to the culture and what he
is. That what really sucks about it more than anything else is that, to me, you know, Lambeau is just airing out dirty laundry because you know he couldn't kick anymore. He really wasn't. If he was any good, he would have landed somewhere in the NFL this year. God knows that kickers have been dropping like flies. Okay, the other day, Carolina was trying out the receiver, the quarterback. They were trying out half their team to try to kick, you know, because their guy pulled a hammy.
Yeah, I'm not cool with the Lambeau thing. And, you know, getting kicked, all that. He's just crying right now because he knew the guy was already kind of on the way out with all the things that are happening. Because if the guy's kind of like winning, let's say 6-7, he didn't have his little pistol incident, and it comes out that he kicked the kicker, I'm not gonna lie. I think people would be like, hey, make your kicks, and you won't get kicked.
Right.
You know.
Listen, whatever side you land on that situation, he ain't doing that to a linebacker or a lineman on the team.
No, but you know what? But in the same token, I don't think that it was a malicious kick is what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get you.
I think when you're dealing with a linebacker or an old lineman, maybe like, he swaps up on the helmet. Hey, bro, I need you to block. I mean, things of that.
We can agree that it was the straw that broke the camel's back.
It was, to me, it's things of that nature, especially when he said it. The guy was stretching before a game or whatever, and practice. He had missed I don't know how many kicks in a preseason game.
But him getting called out for kicking him is not really getting fired. It's just that everything else was there. It's like, oh man, here's something else we got to add to this guy's list. And the owner didn't want to have it. Yeah. It's over. And the guy's made out of money. Yeah. He'll soak it up. I got to pay this guy, and that's it.
But supposedly Actually, no, they're not. He got fired for cause.
No.
Oh yeah, no.
He's being fired for cause, so they're not paying exactly. So they're going to save that money.
I think he would have been paying it. It doesn't matter.
I mean, listen, $28 million. The guy. It doesn't cost the owner.
I just believe
it costs him money to pick up that $28 million. If
he really wanted Urban, he really wanted him.
He was after him for a couple of years.
He did want him, but now you see what you got, and sometimes buyer's remorse. You're like, let me save face and get this guy out of here.
Yeah, like I said, it was an ill-timed situation, and to be honest with it, it had already been reviewed and stuff by their lawyers. I mean, it's something that had happened already and had already been looked at. Right. But since he was down,
there it is.
The kicker came out and booted him.
Right. So again, hopefully they get it right this time, but it was doomed from the start. Let's just agree on that point. Let's jump right into another topic that we weren't able to cover on our little week 1 hiatus, or 1 week hiatus, I should say. Deion Sanders was able to pull the number 1 recruit in the nation.
Barstool Sports did.
Excuse me?
Barstool Sports pulled in that recruit because that's where the nil comes in. The $1 million is going to come from Barstool Sports.
Correct. Now, again, going back to it, Deion Sanders pulls the number 1 recruit, steals him away from his alma mater, Florida State. Okay, Travis Hunter, number 1 recruit in the nation, signs with Jackson State. And yes, the NIL has a lot to do with it.
Of course.
No, I mean, and I would like to know where this kid's going to go education-wise. What kind of a school, or how good are they as a school? I mean, all those things really do matter, and are they going to coach him? Is he going to be well coached? All these little things. I really haven't been able to see too much of Jackson State play. I saw them play a little bit against South Carolina State, and South Carolina State mopped them up. I think that a lot of his success has been really beating teams that were not that good. Right. And things of that nature.
Those the HBCU league that they're in, it has been down in recent years. But they're making a push, man. I think they're going to be in the conversation, for a while now going forward, because he's been able to pull some top recruits from big time schools that decommitted because Deion Sanders is there.
Yeah. They'll make some moves until he leaves. And even though he says he's going to stick around, he ain't going to go nowhere. I believe him for now, but I don't see him. If he's winning for the next couple of years, he's going to go.
I just don't see him.
I think it's a challenge for him to be better.
When I think of these schools and those colleges, I'm thinking of Eddie Robinson. I'm thinking of legendary black
Steve McNair
coaches.
At Alcorn State.
But again, I'm thinking of legendary black coaches that were really, fixtures.
Right.
There were traditions in those programs and built up the school, the education. Got those guys, if they didn't make it in the NFL, they became professionals.
Correct.
Things of that nature. I don't see Deion as that.
No.
I mean, I could be wrong. Been wrong before. But I see Deion as a flash in the pan kind of guy. I don't see him really pushing the things that you should push as a head football coach, as a college head football coach.
Well, I mean, I guess the jury's still out on that. He's only been his second or third year?
I believe it's his second year.
Second year?
I want to say second year.
Yeah, so I mean, again, we could be wrong. He does say the right things on social media. He has leveraged the social media aspect of it, and in the current landscape of sports and how important that is. He's been able to corner the market on that and be extremely relevant himself as a coach, and also keep the program or make the program even more relevant than it's ever been.
Yeah, nobody paid attention to Jackson State.
He utilizes one of his biggest selling points. He's Deion Sanders.
Correct.
The guy's a legend.
He's making Affleck commercials with Nick Saban. So
I mean, the guy is a legend, and you want to play for a legend. You want to play with $1 million too. It's given to you. I mean, I think that adds up. He, in the next couple of years, could be the perfect little feeding ground for the NFL for these kids. So I think it'll be like a 3-4 year thing until, the challenge moves on. His kid What's his kid?
Yeah, his kid plays quarterback.
His
He also
kid
has a
couple
nice little
years there left, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I think we stick it around.
If
to the
I'm not
kid
mistaken,
leagues.
this is his first year.
We
at
stick
the
it around
school.
to the
Correct.
kid is
As a starting
senior, and then
quarterback.
we move on. Kid's gonna move on. Why not him?
I mean, I think he became a head coach in the perfect time. It was like a perfect storm of events, right? With the NIL situation.
Well, remember, he had coached a couple of years of high school ball.
High school ball, correct.
He coached 3 or 4 years of high school ball. His son played for him there as well. Did some good things in high school. Had incredible amount of talent.
Right, correct.
And then he got hired at Jackson
Not for
State.
nothing.
So,
But like I said,
Let's see when they re-signed the FSU coach, right?
yes, Norvell for 1 year.
Let's see when that opens up. Might change his mind. Who knows?
I think
Who knows?
Norvell's going to be all right.
Again, perfect storm of events, NIL, the transfer portal, right? With social media being front and center in this whole situation. It was a perfect situation for someone like Deion Sanders to come in and be successful, especially at a school where let's just call it what it is. It's not much pressure, right? So he's been extremely successful at a school where there hasn't been,
Bro, that guy could do whatever he wants there. They're not going to fire him. They're not going to get rid of him.
No, of course not.
That's probably the best coach.
Not unless something comes up
obviously.
that they're doing the wrong
Let's not
things
do
and loss of
Pistol
institution.
Peter there. Let's not do something silly.
A Rick Pitino move.
Right.
So again, and those are my concerns. To be honest with you, those are the things that I'm concerned with. Is things of that nature.
I don't think he's going to have a problem, obviously, because now that they have the NIL, you don't have to worry about the money thing anymore. That thing's out in the front now.
Well, I mean, I also think that there is somewhat of a conflict of interest because he still works for Barstool Sports as well. He still is on a podcast. He's still on different things.
I don't think that's going to end up mattering for that.
So,
I think he's just, what the worst thing he could do is something, maybe, I don't know, something marital
improper
affair,
payments.
like something
improper payments.
But yeah, I don't think anything
or
with money.
having a recruiting party like our boy Rick Pitino did with strippers and
That's
things
what I'm
of
saying.
that nature. We might go down that road. That could be a slippery, real
That
slippery
is a
road.
possibility.
Correct.
If we've seen some of his
Or
old
his
music
assistants.
videos.
Or his assistant. Let's not blame Deion. Let's blame an assistant.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. You have other people under you that could be doing nefarious things that you can't handle everybody. But I think, having said that, even if nothing happens, he'll be gone in a couple years.
I hear that. I think at the end of the day, he's angling for a bigger job in a Power 5 conference. Like Grizz, like you said, potentially
But that's
FSU
the thing.
in a
I don't
couple
think
years.
I think he could have had one this year if he wanted to. Technically. He
We'll
probably
see.
could have. But once again, I don't think he's also going to be the kind of guy that's going to be there 1-2 years and just leave these guys hanging and drying. Like I said, I think it'll be something that after a couple of years, the writing's on the wall. Everybody knows.
I just don't think he's putting in the time yet as some of these coordinators have, as some of these other guys have been doing and stuff like that. So that's my whole take on him being able to move on and take over a Power 5 program.
That's the thing. But unfortunately, someone in one of those Power 5 conference will probably take a chance because they're like, Deion Sanders, man, I got to have this guy. I don't think it would be a great job. It would probably be, like a Vanderbilt or something. But then again, you think Deion's going to go to a Vanderbilt? No. So that's why he'll stick around till the right thing for him opens up.
You could be right.
Agreed. Time will tell. All right, let's stay in the college football landscape, and let's talk about these bowl games and the bowl season in general. Headlining the whole situation is not even what's been going on or the outcomes of these games. It's been the bowl games that have been canceled. There's been 5 bowl games canceled so far in the bowl season, including one today that was canceled, the Holiday Bowl, 4 hours before game time. And it all obviously it comes back to COVID, the COVID-19 concerns.
Well, and I was going to talk about this last week, and thankfully the NFL has finally made a move in the right direction of making things shorter as far as the protocols, the days, not having 2 weeks that the guys have to quarantine. We're not where we were 2 years ago. We're not where we were a year and a half ago. Thankfully, we've come a long way as far as treatment, as far as severity.
Right.
We've just moved in such a better situation that we need these changes in protocol should have happened, to be honest with you, before the season even started. Because NBA has been hit and hit hard.
Yeah.
NCAA basketball, hit and hit hard. College football, hit and hit hard. The NFL, it's a laundry list of guys or teams that have had to put themselves on pause, and to be honest with you, for no real reason.
Yeah, Coach, we've talked about this in the past off air. We're not talking about any certain population of concern that has pre-existing injuries or age. We're talking about extremely fit young athletes, elite athletes that are in top physical shape, right? So most of these individuals that test positive or are in COVID protocol, they're asymptomatic. They have no symptoms at all.
They get tested 2, 3, 4 times a week.
Right.
Someone's going to come out positive.
Right.
I mean, there's no... If you look for it, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And again, now, I get it. The guy comes in, man, I'm not feeling well. I'm kind of under the weather. Okay. Boom. Then we can, put things going forwards, and we can change things. Well, you know what? Let's isolate you. Let's talk. Let's see where you're at. Let's see you have a fever. Let's go down the checklist. But these guys are walking in, getting swabbed, and of course, as we've talked before, a flu is a coronavirus. It is what it is, and we continue to treat it like
a serious
like it's
pandemic.
2020,
right?
and we're just finding out about it. I think that everyone's done a lot of due diligence in their research as individuals. It's not like the Grizz and I were talking a little while ago. You're able now to go online and research things and look things and read for yourself. You don't have to sit here and listen to someone speaking to you from the TV and maybe giving you what they want you to hear and not what you should hear, or et cetera, et cetera. And I made the analogy to the movie Good Morning Vietnam. In that movie, you had 2 guys that would read the news every morning. They would scratch things off, and then they give it to Robin Williams, and he could not read what they scratched off. And we're not there anymore. We have phones. We have tablets, internet. The internet is a
bastion of information.
Of everything.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that these bowl cancellations are a little bit of an overreaction to the situation, or do you think that there was actual cause for concern and these cancellations were warranted?
Well, look, I'm going to tell you what. Remember, some of these conferences have certain things written into them for COVID and certain protocols that had to be followed. Okay. Today with UCLA in itself, they are a California-based team. Right. The Pac-12 is one of the most stringent COVID-19 regulation conferences in the country. And when you look at it, again, last year, if you take a look at the games they played, I think they played 6 games. And when the SEC and the other ones were playing 8, 10, 12, they were only playing 5 or 6 games. They canceled games last season. You know what I mean? And that's my contention. Like, what are we looking for? What exactly are we canceling these games for?
Right, and you're not going to see the playoff games be canceled because there's too much money involved in those.
Well, there's already a warning. The NCAA already gave out a warning. It said if you can't field the team, you forfeit.
Yeah, come hell or high water, those are going to happen. Like those games.
Those guys ain't forfeiting.
Yeah. So
there's just too much involved.
All of a sudden, everybody's negative on those teams. It's weird.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Come hell or high water, those games are going to be played.
If we stop testing people that are not sick or feeling ill, you're darn right. Nobody's going to be positive because there's no reason to test them.
The guys aren't in town here to test. Sorry.
I was talking to one of our friends the other day, and do you go to the doctor if you're not feeling ill? No. Maybe for your yearly checkup. You go for a yearly checkup. You go. Right. That's it. But other than that, when do you go to the doctor? Go get tested. Man, you know what? I'm not feeling well. Let me go. That's when you go.
Exactly.
We've bypassed that.
Yeah. You're going to feel great and still probably be positive, but you're not going to go get checked because you don't feel anything to get checked in the beginning.
But here we are. We're walking in.
I'm totally agreeing with
you. There's a swab right up your nose, and let's go.
This is already overkill. I'm over it. What are you going to do? I mean, they want to cancel these bowls. I mean, we ain't going to watch our Canes this year because we got our game canceled. It is what it is. I just want this to be over with. Like everybody else. We've said this over and over, and I'm a big proponent. When things were bad last year, we had to get this under control. And I thought, this is what we've done. We've gotten it under control. You said it clearly, Gil, before off. This is our new flu. Get used to it. That's it.
And let's move on.
You're totally right. I'm in agreement there.
Okay. Well, let's move on to some more positive things. Let's review some of the bowl game outcomes here. Coach, do you have any bowl games that stood out to you in these past couple weeks?
Well, I mean, thankfully today we've gone 3-0 today in our bowl selections.
Oh, there you go.
And in our plays. Air Force came through nicely and won their bowl game today 31-28. They were able to outlast the Louisville Cardinals. Houston knocked off Auburn 17-13, a big comeback at the end. And again, we discussed this with a few of our friends, and just like there's parity in the NFL, there is starting to be parity in college
Very
football.
much so.
There
Yes,
are
sir.
some really good quality programs that are not in Power 5 conferences that can put up a fight with any Power 5 conference team.
Right.
That's why we say just give them a shot.
And we've
That's
been
why.
talking about Houston here for a few weeks now. And, Dana Holgerson has done a great job there of getting that program back up to speed.
Which also reinforces how good Cincinnati is, how they handled that team. That's why if you just give these guys shots, you'd be surprised.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the casual fan who doesn't really follow college football and they saw that outcome today of Houston knocking off Auburn, you would think, oh, wow, a non-Power 5 team's beating an SEC team, but Houston was legit. They were 11-2 this year. They're ranked in the top 20. I think they finished out ranked 20th in the nation.
Yes.
But I mean, again,
everybody goes back and again, it's always recency bias.
correct.
And they think of Auburn against Bama. What a game they gave Alabama.
Well, I will. My argument back to my own thing is that Auburn ended up a little sloppy at the end. They didn't finish with a great record, so you'd see the record, you'd be like, oh, they must have been a terrible team. But if you look at the team, Auburn played the number 1 Alabama team tough. They played them. They
And
played
they
all
were-
year good games.
They were also missing
Yeah.
Bo Nix,
Bo
their
Nix
starting
was
quarterback
not- was
that's,
not
that's
it.
transferring.
That
and
is
he's
a big deal.
And he's leaving. So that's also a big deal there. They're not the complete team that they were the whole season.
But it's still, I still think it's an
still a
impressive
solid win. It's still
Absolutely.
a solid win by Houston.
Right.
That defense did not lose. Auburn's defense was the Auburn defense has been playing
Correct.
pretty much the whole year, and they were in a battle back and forth. They ran, they threw.
These bowl games, and you know what? Sometimes this is why these coaches are upset that these bowl games don't get played. You got a Holgerson from Houston is going to be able to go now and talk to recruits and say, hey, we have an excellent program. We just beat a top tier SEC team, Auburn. It helps recruiting. It helps your program be built. So
Yeah,
some of these coaches that got their games canceled. I mean, weren't you talking about the NC State coach?
He's super upset today.
Right.
Because he's done a good job, and this was the first chance they're going to have to win 10 games.
Correct. These bowl games are an opportunity for programs that don't usually get national recognition. It's an opportunity for them to be on TV for the whole nation. And like you said, they do well. They put out a good showing. Sometimes lesser teams against Power 5 teams, it helps them in the recruiting front.
A week ago, we had UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, beat BYU on a great physical game. I mean, again, these teams get up for, and that's something that we talked about going into bowl season. Some of these teams get up for these big games, and they see themselves in a position, like you just said, to be across the nation, to be on TV, that they don't get that kind of representation during the regular season. So yeah, like I said, we were able to get that. We got the under in that game, in the Houston game. We've had a few upsets here and there. We had Utah State beat Oregon State. We've also had Army beat Missouri.
Yeah,
at the end of the game. That was a great game.
That was a great game.
That was a really great game. UCF beat Florida, so that gives them bragging rights and puts it puts them in their national championship conversation.
Correct.
Just reaffirms the Gators are overrated.
Shout out to Gomez.
Again, I just think that the Gators are in transition, and UCF is not
what they were before, but it was still a solid win for
no,
them.
of course. Any win of that caliber is always solid for those programs. And as you just alluded to a minute ago, as far as recruiting, that goes a long way now for them recruiting in the state of Florida.
Yes, it does.
They can flip a couple of maybe one or two four-star guys that come over, and and I'm gonna tell you right now, Napier's doing a great job at Florida signing guys. The guys that he's flipping and bringing over, that they're gonna be a really good football team.
Yeah, Napier's always been regarded as a top recruiter. I mean, it's not just X's and O's for him. He's a great coach when it comes to the recruiting landscape as well. Yeah, listen, we got a lot more bowl games to go. We're gonna talk about some playoff matchups coming up here as well. We'll be back in a minute with some more talk on some pro football. And we're back with two coaches, one Grizz. We're going to jump right into some NFL action, looking at the playoff pictures that are starting to settle out here. NFC is way more settled than the AFC. AFC is still very much up in the air. I know Mr. Grizz over here has hit some gripes and also some excitement that he wants to let out here. So we're going to start with the white hot Dolphins and their 7-game winning streak. They're now at 8-7. It's their first 7-game winning streak since 1985. Talk to us, Grizz.
Well, thank you for that there, Frankie. And I like that you said the gripe, because that's also something that I'm bringing into the new year. Not going to be this one, but we might break it out right now. A little segment I'm going to like calling the Grizzly Gripes. And I have a gripe. Why are we hating on these Dolphins? And I'll be the first one to jump in front of the gun. I hated them all year. I've always hated on the Dolphins, my team, since I was born, because they disappoint me. Like our boy said, you always make me cry. They always make me cry. But we have to not hate on them. They have done something that's never been done before, bro. I like history, man. 7-game losing streak followed by a 7-game winning streak. Never, ever before done. And I'm going to tell you right now, because most likely we might not win next week against Tennessee, because this is what happens. I get all excited. And who's going to take it away from me next week? Ryan Tannehill, probably. But I woke up this morning and I saw a playoff picture on ESPN. And lo and behold, 7 seed, the Miami Dolphins. Anybody at 1-7, go tell you that you're going to see that in the next 7 games. I got some snow to sell you, man. I got something to tell you. You're full of shit. Nobody thought that would happen. I especially was on the bandwagon of saying, why would I even go? See, I was thinking of going to the Saints game. But when they were 1-7, how could I even muster to think that I'm going to drop that kind of bread on a 1-7 team that always disappoints? And look at what they did. Now, having said that, their 7-game win streak has been against teams that are quite questionable. But let me ask you a question, guys. Do these people get up and wear their pants just like everybody else? Hell yeah. You know why? Because they're NFL football teams. And I think a lot of other teams have played these crappy-ass teams. They haven't won 7 in a row. So there's something to be said. And first and last, Tua, man. Give this man some love. All the guy does is win. All he does is win. Is that not what we pick these people for? I don't need flashiness. I just need wins, man. Get me to where I need to go.
Just win, baby.
See, Gil, our boy, he's a Raider fan. He knows his team makes him cry too sometimes. But most
of the time,
his owner also said something that is very relevant. Just win, baby, like he said, and that's all we're doing here, man. And the Dolphins win the next 2 games. They're in the playoffs, man. I'm just gonna leave it there because I got so much to say, but we only got an hour. Let's go.
Well, as the Grizz said, right, Dolphins beat the Saints 20-3 last night. They are now 8-7. They're holding on, as of right now, to the 7th seed in the playoffs.
Clinging to a playoff spot right now.
They need to win out to assure themselves
Which is not guaranteed at any moment, especially with the 2 teams they got left to play.
No, sir, they are not.
They got to play Tennessee. The Tennessee wants to keep winning.
Correct.
And then they got their nemesis, the New England Patriots, which also need to keep winning. Since this is gonna be a cup check time for the Dolphins.
Correct. And it's crazy because there potentially may be 3 teams from the AFC East in the playoffs. That's again.
Sorry,
it's an uphill battle for the Dolphins.
Sorry to burst your guys' bubbles. That's just not.
It's going to be an uphill battle. But if the Dolphins win out, They're at 10-7, and they will have at least the 7th seed in the playoffs.
During the deep dive, I will address a friend of mine that listens to our podcast. It's in one of my other
Very
chats.
interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing that. But overall, in the AFC playoff picture, right, it's still very much in the air. There's only one division that's been clinched, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs, who have won the AFC West for the 6th straight season.
You heard it here first. You could have got them at minus 110. We gave that out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We said take them now. They will win the West. And they came through like champs and won the West.
There you go. They're now at 11-4. They beat the Steelers 36-10. They're back to the old Chiefs. I would say.
Well, I mean, I think I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost feel a little bit better than saying they're back to the old Chiefs because their defense is playing.
Correct.
They have not really played with a real defense in the last 2 or 3 years. They've been outscoring everybody. Mahomes has been putting up 50 points, wheeling and dealing, and all these guys have been. They won the other night without Travis Kelce. 2 weeks ago, they won without Tyreek Hill. I mean, they're really putting it on running the football. They're throwing short passes. I mean, if anybody has shown their prowess to be a good football coach, is Andy Reid.
Absolutely.
And that great point bringing that up, because I was just about to say that. Kudos, yes. Have the players on the field righted the ship to a certain extent? Yes. Mahomes is playing within the system, and he's still Mahomes. He's still doing his, stellar, otherworldly stuff on the field, but he's playing within the system. He's not trying to overdo it, whereas at the beginning of the season, he was trying to do too much. Now, there's just as much credit needs to be given to the coaching staff, Andy Reid, Bieniemy, okay, for riding the ship offensively, and also to the defensive coaching staff for getting that defense right, okay, because there was no defense at the beginning of the year for them, and they've put it all together, and they're going to be extremely dangerous come playoff time.
That game that they won against the Chargers a couple weeks ago, that really was a huge. I mean, I had taken the Chargers were the right side as far as the points were concerned, and they just outplayed them towards the end of the game,
right? And
then took the overtime and said, "Boom." And they hit Kelce, hit passes underneath. They've done a great job.
That was classic Chiefs from the past, several seasons, because when they won their Super Bowl, they were down double digits in every playoff game and came back to win those games.
But it wasn't classic because they did not give up that many points. In reality, they gave up 4 touchdowns. In the NFL, 28 points really is not a lot of points. And they only gave up 28 points to the Chargers. Right. So, you know what I'm saying? They were down a score. They were down here and there, but they were always in the game. They're running the football. If you take a look at them, they are running the ball. The touchdown that Clyde Hilaire scored, I don't know if you guys watched any parts of the game the other night. He broke 3 guys tackling him, boom, and bounced out, and it was a tough run.
Right.
Yeah, that was big. It's been big time for them getting him back.
Yeah, and him and Williams are a nice little 1-2 punch. Again, Grizz said it a few weeks ago as far as running the football, how important it is at certain times of the game. Even though we are in a passing league, running the ball is still very, very important in the NFL.
And you know that's always been the knock on Andy Reid, and what everybody back in the day where he couldn't win the big one per se is because he used to forget about the running game.
He refuses to run the ball.
Right. His thing has always been, well, we need to pass to open up the run game, but he forgets to run the ball. They've switched that. They've turned that on. He's turned his philosophy on its head, to get them back into contention and get them back into the Chiefs that we used to know.
Expected. The Chiefs that we expected.
Exactly. And it's funny because we expect the, Chiefs that are toss the ball around the yard, but they've gotten back into form by running the ball, which is a great point that you bring up.
I was about to say, yeah, the defense is playing lights out. I just don't think the offense is back to where it was technically the last couple of years. And that is also one, teams, you kind of figure out how to play people. So they got the book on Mahomes. That's, I think, what happened at the beginning of the season. Then you get the defense shored up, and then you play, Andy Reid is always going to give you great offense. Like, I think He's an amazing offensive coach. He's utilizing the run, like Gil said, and what I said is to win in the NFL, you need to at least have a running game in the big moments. And I think once Kelsey and Hill really get back on stride, and the defense stays like that, I don't think anybody has a chance against them.
Well, yeah, because at the beginning of
one.
At the beginning of the season, like you were saying, they were just sitting too deep, daring them to throw the ball deep, and
that was a blueprint that got put out there.
Make the mistakes,
that was a blueprint that got put out there.
Right.
Mahomes started throwing 3, 4, 5 picks. All of a sudden, boom, and
he was brought back down to earth because once again, everybody says you're the most amazing thing ever. You know, there's people saying that right now, 4 or 5 years in, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
He won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's been to 2. I'm just saying.
But
you start believing that. You start buying it.
A lot of people recently, you know, Ben won one in the first year, got pretty close. What I'm saying is, like, you're giving this just everything so fast. You're bound to have a little slip, bro. And what I love about what I'm seeing is they've fallen. They reset the ship. And at 4-4, you're thinking, oh, man, this is done. You know, they've fallen off. Has the league caught up with them? No, Andy Reid's an amazing coach, and he reset the ship. They said, hey, we got to play lights-out defense, which that right there is the reason they're going to win a Super Bowl is their defense. And then running the ball at the right times, the guy's always going to rely on a great quarterback.
And they're still getting the ball to their playmakers now because Tyreek is getting 5-yard dumps and turning them into 25-yard games.
And not only that,
Kelsey over the middle again.
I mean, Clyde, the running back, they got a couple nice little studs in the back, right?
Williams is the other running back. Him and Clyde Hilaire.
Wasn't there Gore?
And Gore's a third string back that's also
been playing really good.
Yeah, he's also going in there and chipping
really
in.
Good.
You know, and Frank said it, you know, Morales said it a few weeks ago as well. The O-line now, again, is really gelling nicely.
That takes time. I mean, their whole
they're
O-line.
really come again. And I think that they're going to peak at the right time.
Right. You guys,
they're ascending when some of the other teams are descending.
People don't understand that they had that entire line was Pro Bowlers for the past couple of years. And they lost, I want to say, don't quote me on this, I want to say they lost 3 of those pieces.
Yes.
So it's a completely rebuilt line. That takes time. An offensive line, for you to be successful, it needs to work as one organism.
And it takes time.
They got in the gel part right. They've gotten in the right stride part right. And the rest of the AFC is really average. We thought Buffalo was going to be, they've come down to earth, which they're kind of starting to get back the big win against the Patriots. But the Patriots gone, in my mind. They're not a threat to me. Tennessee, if they get Henry back, okay, we can talk because they put a number on the Chiefs. But even then, man, I think you get home field, 2 games in Kansas City, and they're playing the way they're playing, just there's no one. There's no one that... You know what? Maybe, but even then, nah. The Colts, I would say, but I don't trust Wentz.
Well, the Colts are a dangerous team. I wouldn't want to see them in the playoffs.
Nah, I think out of all the teams playing right now, yeah, maybe the Colts. Like I said, the Bills are still going to be, if they come on the right spot, probably will be their toughest challenge.
I think to be honest with you, going into the playoffs, I think New England's quarterback is still too young. Okay. I think the Bengals quarterback is still too young.
Ooh, see, next week's going to be a nice game. Yeah. Bengals against the Chiefs. That's going to tell me a lot about the Bengals.
We got that in the deep.
I can't wait because I forgot about the Bengals.
Okay.
I like the Bengals a lot. It's just that
I think he's still too young.
Yeah.
And to travel on the road is going to be a big deal.
Right. So
I think Indianapolis Wentz still does Wentz things. That's what kills him. He has to sometimes win games.
He made some great plays in this last game.
But he still makes. The thing is that people are dropping interceptions. I mean, he's winning. They're doing a nice job, but he's throwing picks that people are dropping. That's been his saving grace.
If you stop Taylor and you try to have Wentz win the game, you're probably going to lose the game if you're the Colts. So their big thing is,
no, they got to keep Taylor going. They got to keep dinking and dunk,
and hoping that the game that Taylor doesn't go, that Wentz has
and for their defense to keep playing well. Yeah. Their defense, and that's the whole situation with Kansas City. When you play Kansas City, you're going to have to put at least 4 touchdowns on the board minimum, because KC's going to push you there.
Right.
KC has the weapons to put up 35 points in any given Sunday.
Yeah, they can flip the switch at any moment. And, and next thing you know, it's a 21-point swing.
And the thing is that you have 5-6 different weapons to get there.
Yeah,
not just
they're
one.
Deep. They are extremely
not
deep.
just two. You got 5 or 6 different weapons. You got a tight end that's a weapon. You got this. You got the receiver, the running back. And then when you cover everybody, Mahomes takes off and runs for 25. So that puts you in a perspective where, again, Kansas City at home, to me, is the most complete team and should go to the Super Bowl from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can agree that the Chiefs are the class of the AFC, and then overall, the AFC in general is pretty average this year. There's a lot of parity. Let's just put it that way.
I would say parity. I won't say average, because when they play against the NFC, they've played well, and they've won games from the upper echelon teams.
Right.
Because again, the Bills are a nice little. Their defense is incredibly solid against the pass. The Bills are one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. My issue with them is that they have really not set down any roots to run the football. Mm-hmm. This weekend they finally ran the ball against the Patriots, and they showed that they can run the ball. Right. And you have, again, we go back to running the football.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Josh Allen is a
third-year quarterback.
He's in his
third-year quarterback.
Third year or fourth year. I think he's in his
fourth.
Yeah, I think he's in his fourth season, but he's still young. Like, they're expecting to put it all on his shoulders, and they can. You have two solid backs there that can shoulder the load as well.
I do believe, if it's his time to ascend, he's ready. But no, not to just have him throw it all day.
Or run it.
You got running. Yeah, and they want him to run a lot too. I think that takes a toll. Singletary is great. I don't know why you're not utilizing that guy more. I mean, they don't run the ball, they're not going to win. Bottom line.
They also have Matt Breida, who is healthy.
Yeah.
And he's another.
They have 3 solid backs. But overall, I mean, just if you look at the AFC picture, there's a total of 12 teams vying for the 6 remaining playoff berths, which is crazy. These last 2 games, it's going to be nuts. Okay? Again, let's look at the Titans, right? They're 10-5. As we said earlier, they're clinging on to the AFC South lead, but the Colts are another team that have been, white hot, making serious push down the stretch. They're at 9-6 now. They've won the 9 of their last 12 games after starting 0-3. Okay, they have probably the best running back in the league at the moment. For sure, they have the best offensive line. That is an all-world offensive line.
And they have one of the better defenses in the league.
And they have one of the better defenses. And they won this weekend without their leader on defense, Darius Leonard, who got popped for the COVID protocol right before the game.
And speaking of what we just talked about once, they're going to have to win this game without Wentz. Because
hold the phone on that, sir.
Oh, that's right.
We're down to 5 days. We're down to 5 days, so he could be right back in there.
Probably sneak him in then.
There you go.
So Titans at 10-5, Colts at 9-6. Colts can very, very possible they can win the division.
Well, they need to win out, and the Titans have to lose a game.
Correct.
Who was the last game the Titans play? The Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe.
So there goes that one.
Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because Jacksonville still sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a very tight race.
Oh, no, they play the Texans, sir. They play the Houston Texans at Houston.
Same thing.
Yeah, I don't think...
They're a little better. Houston's a little better. Houston's a little better. Houston finally, again, they ran the football and had a great upset win this weekend.
It will be interesting to see.
I don't think regardless, I don't think Colts win the division. No. But, like I said, it doesn't matter. Playing on the road, 3 games, teams make it to the Super Bowl.
I will say this, though. It will be interesting to see that if the Titans do slip up one of these, and they have to go into the last game of the season to win the division, because they want a home playoff game.
Of course.
In the first round. I would not be surprised if they activate Henry for the last game of the season if the division's on the line.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think so. I think they'd rather have them ready for the playoffs than as long as they know that they're getting. If they go 1-1 in the next 2, they're in.
Yeah. You know what travels good on the road? Running game. So he can run the ball anyway.
So as long as they go 1-1 in the next 2, they're in. That's all that matters to them. And that allows them, again, 2-3 weeks to have Henry ready to try to get through, again,
the gauntlet,
the rust,
right?
Running, That's not easy for a running back. And they're also going to have to put him on a pitch count. They can't just go in there and say, we're going to give him the ball 30 times in this game.
If anyone can do it, it's Henry.
Again, I know you said that a couple of weeks ago, and I am going to, disagree with you. I really believe that if you're smart, you run the guy 15, 18 times and get him back into the rhythm of getting in there. Because if you do win that first round, second, now he couldn't be the workload to go play against Kansas City at Kansas City in bad weather.
Yeah, listen, AFC South. That's the vision to look at, because I do see these two teams meeting up in the playoffs for sure. But let's jump to the AFC North here. Big matchup this week in between the Bengals and the Ravens. Bengals.
No, sir. The Bengals and the Ravens are not playing this weekend.
No. I'm talking about this past weekend. This past weekend, Bengals and the Ravens. Burrows passes for 525 yards and 4 touchdowns, and apologizes for absolutely none of it. All right, they put a beat down on the Ravens, and the final score was 41-21. Listen, it was they couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop him. They gave
him a little bulletin board material. I mean, the coach from the other team says he's not all that yet. Let's not put a gold jacket on him yet. And there's a little offense to it. So he just threw 525 on him and said, not that big of a deal.
And all he does is pass.
Shouldn't say it. No need to say it.
And all he does is pass for the 4th most all time.
Well, the third-string quarterback for Baltimore played pretty good. He had a 325-yard passing.
I'm going to tell you, man.
Josh Johnson did some work.
They surprised me that they got that.
That doesn't say a whole lot for the Cincinnati Bengals defense going forward.
No, it doesn't. But the Bengals do take the division lead, right? In the AFC North at 9-6. It looks like they may end up winning the division, because Steelers, 7-1, not happening. Ravens, they're reeling right now between injuries and COVID protocol. It's not looking good for them. They've been going downhill fast.
For them to be where they are really speaks volumes of that coaching staff.
Correct.
Of those guys that are in that locker room. To be 8-7 at this juncture with all the injuries, all the things that they've gone through. Because don't forget now, this is the second or third time that they've been without Lamar.
Right, and they've put a league high. I think when we covered it a couple weeks ago, over 20 dudes on IR. In this way, I mean, their top 2 corners,
their DBs. I mean, they have been completely decimated by injury.
Their best D lineman. It's been
that they're even alive in the conversation of playoffs or in a division, et cetera, et cetera. It goes beyond.
Yeah, with that loss to the Bengals, they dropped out of the division lead. Bengals took over the AFC North lead, and they are now on the outside looking in. They're on the bubble at 8-7. They're currently 9th right now, so they need help from those teams that are currently in those wild card spots. They need to drop some games. So
they'll be watching the Dolphins play.
Yeah, if I'm looking at it, I'm saying that the Ravens missed the playoffs this year. After all that's happened to them.
Highly likely.
Highly likely, right? All right, let's jump to the AFC East matchup. Bills, they get some revenge over the Patriots. Right? They beat the Patriots 33-21. They got some payback from the Patriots running all over them a couple weeks ago. They returned the favor. And, Josh Allen just nonchalantly becomes the first player in NFL history with 100-plus pass touchdowns and 20-plus rush touchdowns in his first 4 seasons. So, is he capable of shouldering the load? Yes. But I don't think it's the smart move for them. It's not
going to win the Super Bowl.
No, it's not. It's not.
They have to find a little bit of balance. Again, and they don't have to run on first down. You can still throw on first down.
Right.
But you have to blend in that running game so you can have so that defense understands they can run the football. Yeah. They're able to run it. They're capable of running it. And
when a defense feels that 80% of the time, I'm just going to go try to sack the quarterback, that's it.
When you're one-dimensional, you're one-dimensional.
Yeah. So Bills are 9-6 right now. Patriots are also 9-6. So that's another division that's very much up in the air right now. Either team can easily win that division. To be honest, I think the Patriots still may win the division. I think the Bills may get a little cocky and stumble across the way and drop one of the next two. No, you don't think so?
No,
they're playing the Falcons and the Jets.
I'll be shocked.
They're playing the Falcons and the Jets.
Shocked. If they lose at home to the Falcons.
I don't see them dropping either game,
Or
and
the
they're
Jets.
both at home.
Shocked.
They're both at home.
I think I think the cockiness is out. Yeah. I think they got hidden. Once again, another team they got gut punched.
Yeah, punched in the mouth.
Yeah, they got all right. We read our clippings. We thought we were better than we are, and we fell back down. Let's see what's up.
I know you guys.
Let me tell you, that's another team that is loaded. They've got receivers. The tight end is good. They're loaded.
Their defense is just not as shored up as the Chiefs.
I know you guys don't see it happening because it is the Falcons and the Jets, and I get it. But this is also a team that lost 9-6 against the worst team in one of the worst teams in the league in the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I completely agree. I just don't think that'll happen this time around. Once again, they were looking far ahead. They weren't the team that is now. And, bro, the only reason why I will probably be wrong, this NFL season has been ridiculous.
It's been,
teams that should not win, should not lose. It's just, it goes the opposite way. Now, having said that, I will be shocked if the Buffalo Bills lose to the Falcons at home.
Buffalo's a 2-touchdown favorite. I don't think, again, that's a lot of points to cover.
We're not covering. This is not for the deep dive. This is just pure
I believe that they win the game. And that's all they're going to look for.
Don't be surprised.
I will not be surprised.
No, listen.
Hey, the Patriots might lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, right?
It's on any given Sunday.
Exactly. Okay? Why? Because the Patriots are in a free fall right now. They've lost 2 in a row. Their quarterback doesn't know where his head's at. Because a couple weeks ago when they won with him only throwing 3 passes, who knows if that got in his head, the psyche. Man, they don't trust me. I can't even throw more than 3 passes in a football game. Regardless of what the game plan is.
You think that got to him? I mean, there was 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, well, the other quarterback happened to throw it a bunch, right? Why can't he throw it?
And look what happened.
And he came out on the losing end. But
right, but what did they get blown out? No. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's creeping in his head, but come on. I mean, why not? You're a young guy, and maybe they didn't think I could win the game. And you know what? It's proven to me. I think that guy cannot come back. You take the lead on this guy by a couple of touchdowns, I do not fear Mac Jones one bit. 0. Take the lead on this guy. You take the lead. If Mac Jones has the lead, I think he's very good at winning games. But I think you take a touchdown, 2-touchdown lead.
He's a rookie quarterback. And it's his first year.
That's what.
So and now is when you start getting into the pressure situations. Okay. Again, I think Buffalo has been there a couple of times already. I think Buffalo playing at home in those conditions. Don't forget, Atlanta is a dome team. Yeah. Okay, you're asking Matt Ryan. You're asking Matt Ryan to go play.
Oh my God!
Outside in Buffalo. So again, anything can ever happen. Yeah. No, nothing is ever guaranteed or a lock.
And then the last game against the Jets. Come on, man. The Jets are already in the Bahamas or something. They're done. I don't care that they won this week against the Jags. If they lose any of those games, I'll be shocked.
I guess we'll just have to see.
The Patriots need to worry about their own business.
That's not your money line game, bro. That's not the money line upset.
I'd be worried if I'm the Patriots, man. These scary Jags on the horizon. And don't forget about the Finns, which, by the way, if we beat Tennessee, you flex in that game, NFL. Dolphins, Patriots, Sunday night, you got to have it.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, time will tell. We'll be able to cover it and talk about it. And either I will tell you I told you so next week, or you guys can just crush me about it. So
look forward to the crushing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's jump to the NFC playoff picture, which is a little bit more decided. Well, not a little bit, a lot more decided than the AFC. We have 3 of the 4 divisions have been clinched. The Packers at 12-3 in the NFC North, the Cowboys at 11-4 in the NFC East, and the Bucks, who have won the division for the first time since 2007 in the NFC South at 11-4.
Yet another thing Tom Brady got to accomplish in his illustrious career.
Need one more win from Tampa Bay. We got 11.5. We took over 11.5.
Well, there you go.
One more. Need one more victory.
I think you get it.
We need to eke out one more win, guys.
I want to say thank you to the Titans for beating the Niners last week. Got me the under on their season. And hey, speaking about the Dolphins, at 1-7, did I look at my over 9.5 win total and say, flush this ticket down the toilet? Hey, ticket's still valid.
It's still alive.
Still alive,
It's
man.
alive. I'm alive.
You're so happy. Mm-hmm. Look at you.
Yeah, for like a week. Then things will crash like always.
Now, NFC West is the only division that's not decided yet. Right now, the Rams.
Talk about a free fall.
Yeah,
those
right now
Cardinals, man. Someone clipped their wings.
Yeah, right now the Rams are leading the division at 11-4. Cardinals are still alive at 10-5.
Don't forget, you heard it here first. The Kingsbury fade.
The Kingsbury fade.
Told you, the cliff. You go off the cliff with Cliff.
Yeah, I mean, they're both clinched the playoff berth, okay? But like you said, Cardinals going downhill real fast after, starting 10-0.
You're the talk of the league. You're amazing. And look at you, dropped all these games.
And I think and it's funny because we talked about the Rams here for a few weeks.
Right.
And that was one of the
they had their little 3-game slide.
Correct. And I kept saying it takes time for them to gel.
Correct.
It takes time for that. All of a sudden now Odell is becoming
bunch of new moving parts.
Odell's becoming a real nice piece in that offense to go with Cooper Kupp and the running game is starting to come.
Sony Michel's been big for them.
Akers is coming back.
Which is crazy because he tore his Achilles tendon and he's back in 5 months. Like, can we? That's insane because usually that's it. In the past, that's been almost a 2-year injury.
It's called modern medicine, man.
He's also a freak of nature.
Yeah, modern medicine, freak of nature.
And it comes at the right time because I think Henderson is now going on
Henderson's going on IR.
So again, they need that. And like you just said, Sony Michel's been was a great pickup.
Correct.
They've done an amazing job in that front office of being able to collect players and put themselves in a good position going forwards. Now, with that being said, your boy Stafford can't be throwing 3 picks in a game.
Correct. They beat the Vikings 30-23 despite Stafford's 3 picks. If they have Super Bowl aspirations, which everybody in the world knows, it's not a secret. It's Super Bowl or bust for them because they're going to be terrible in a couple years. After they've given away, I think my son is going to be graduating college by the time that they have a first-round pick. Okay, again because they've given them away to load up their team. They're going to be so terrible in the next few years. So it's Super Bowl or bust for them. If they want to make it there, Stafford cannot continue to play the way that he's playing. Now, this offense, historically, since McVay has been there, they've leaned on the running game. Whether it's Todd Gurley, whether it's Akers, whether it's Henderson, this offense that McVay uses is predicated on the run. Okay? Yes, I know he has a shiny new toy in Stafford and he wants to sling it around the yard. Okay? But Stafford's not a spring chicken either. Okay, he's got some wear and tear on him, all right? And he hasn't necessarily proved himself to be an elite quarterback in the playoffs. He's never won a playoff game, okay? So he needs to get off of his, I'm an offensive genius, let Stafford do his thing because it clearly hasn't been working in the last few years. Hand the freaking ball off, okay? And let those running backs do work. Like we said, you picked up Sony Michel for a reason. Let him do work.
Sir.
Sorry.
Cooper Kupp, sir.
I blacked out what happened.
Cooper Kupp, sir. You can't ignore the season that Cooper Kupp is having. You can't ignore the season those guys are putting together.
I'm not ignoring the season that Cooper Kupp is having.
You're not gonna go and trade for a Matthew Stafford to hand off the ball and run the ball. With all due respect, sir. Now, you might not want him to throw it 45 times a game. I get that.
That's what I'm saying.
But he's going to throw it 28, 30 times a game. That's what you got him for. Otherwise you would have kept Goff.
I don't got a problem with him throwing it. It's just don't throw it to the other team.
Oh yes, I don't think that's part of the game.
I think he's another one.
He does it more often than other quarterbacks.
I think he's another one that's pressing. That he's trying to do too much.
That I will not disagree with.
His real test will come in the playoffs where he's never won a game.
That's what I'm saying.
I also think they also have a nice defense to lean on.
The defense will carry them.
Stay healthy.
The defense carries them at least to one playoff win. And then when we get to the big meaty games,
if the back end holds up healthy wise, I think they're a solid contender. I keep saying that.
Well, like I said, I think the first round no problem. Whoever they match up, I think they'll be able to beat. It's just the top 4 are really good teams. So it depends on who the matchup will be for the Rams in the next round of the playoffs.
I think they match up well with the Cowboys.
Right.
I think that's a good matchup
if
for
all
them.
holds the way that it is right now in the current picture, their first round playoff game will be against the Cardinals. So, because they're the 3rd seed right now.
I like
they
that.
would be going against the 5th seed, okay, which right now is the Cardinals.
I like that. They would be playing the fade, so they should be fine. And not to mention that the Cardinals look like they might be dropping another game. They play the Cowboys this week, so they might be falling a little. Well, they're not going to fall that much because the 6th seed is still the Niners. Am I correct?
6th seed is the Niners. You are
so
correct,
yeah,
sir.
they'll lock up at least the 5th seed because
And the Niners are going now with their backup quarterback, the young guy,
what
the
I'm
young
saying
buck.
is the Cardinals won't.
So that
they
could
won't be able to
change.
fall down past the 5th seed,
Right.
Because the last 2 seeds already have more losses than them, so they're stuck at the 5. If the Rams can climb up to 3 and avoid them, if the Rams can be 3 or 2 and then avoid the Cardinals and play either the Niners or whoever is left over in that 7th seed, I mean, I think, like I said, they should be able to win their first round.
I think Philly's going to get in.
It's more.
I do think Philly gets in.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Philly sneaks in
depends
at a 9 and
their
7.
defense is playing very well right now.
They
They're
play
running
the
ball.
Cowboys last.
They're
so
very,
it
very
depends
physical
on
running the ball. So
if the Cowboys don't want to play for top seed or something like that, maybe they let their players rest. That'll be an advantage for the Eagles to win that game. But yeah, I think with the last teams remaining, should be the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the playoff picture, we look at it. The Cowboys just demolished the Washington football team, 56-14. They actually scored the most points in a game since 1980. So if all holds well, again, they need Dak Prescott to be an all-world quarterback. They're another one that has Super Bowl aspirations there. They can do some damage. But that the NFC East there with the Eagles, that's going to be an interesting matchup last week of the season because, again, Eagles defense, they've been carrying the team these past couple weeks.
They've been and they're running the football, and I think that they're playing Hurts football.
Correct.
They've got Jalen rolling in and out of the pocket. They're letting him run. I think they're playing within what he can do. And I really like the way that they are moving forward with the pieces that they have and how they're using them to get there. How far they can go? I don't know if they can go too far.
Yeah.
But again, I do believe that they will sneak into the playoffs and they'll be that last
Are they capable of?
Well, like you said, that you think the Niners might go and play.
No, they have to. Garoppolo's hurt.
Right. So I'm saying if he has to play the last 2 games, they might fall down to the 7th seed, and the Eagles could even go up to the 6th seed in that scenario.
Yeah. Now, and the whole playoff landscape situation is only, remember, the only team that gets a bye is the 1st seed, right? Packers, if all goes well, they look like they have that pretty much locked up at 12-3. They beat the Browns this week in 24-22. Their defense needs to continue hold up. Rodgers nonchalantly surpasses Favre for most touchdowns in Green Bay history, right? 444, I think he ended the day on because he threw 3 touchdowns on Sunday.
They're the ones that are playing the more complete football. They're allowing teams to come back at the end, but they've been in control of every game for the last 5 weeks.
Right, and that was despite Baker Mayfield's 4 picks.
I mean, the Ravens, they were destroying the Ravens. So again, they are playing good football. They're running the ball. Green Bay is the number 1 seed, and I don't see them falling off of there.
Yeah, neither do I. I think they have that pretty much locked up. Granted, like we just talked about, games can be dropped any given Sunday. And if that's the case, and the Cowboys, if they continue doing their work, they may luck into the first round bye. But again, I think we can all agree that we don't see that happening.
The team to me that's gonna be or face some trouble if they can't get healthy is gonna be Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is to me right now the weakest leader
right
in their division.
I would agree with that.
Because of their injuries and COVID and all these other things
that
that
pile up. You know, it's
correct.
Not even the GOAT can beat COVID, man.
Correct.
Losing Godwin was a huge blow to them.
I mean, it helps them that Antonio Brown's there.
Back, but
it helps them that Antonio Brown is there. Okay, and he does play well with Tom Brady.
Oh.
And he's spectacular with Brady.
If he's healthy, he'll be back to his old self.
So,
for sure.
You know, but to me, what worries me is their defense and the back end of their
Definitely
defense.
The defense is way more concerning to me.
You know, they're giving up a lot of passes, and teams are taking advantage of that, and that's what's hurting them. You can't run the ball on them, but you can throw the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's definitely if there's any team that might run into a buzzsaw in the playoffs, it's definitely the Bucs. But again, we've counted Brady out before, and look what happens. But you know, yes, they're definitely one to keep our eye on. Overall, yeah, in the NFC playoff picture, there's still 6 teams in the hunt for the final 2 wild card spots. But again, I think, like we said, I think the Eagles are in the driver's seat there, and 49ers, like you said, we'll see about that. I think the Vikings still have a solid shot to sneak into the playoffs if they win out. What do you think?
But they're not going to win out. They got to go to Green Bay this weekend.
And they lost to the Niners head-to-head, right?
They got to go to the Green Bay this weekend.
If they tie the Niners, they're not going to be able to make it. It doesn't look good for the Vikings. It doesn't look good for the Saints. It doesn't look good for Washington. I think the NFC is the more clear picture, obviously.
Correct.
And I think even with the Niners being as hurt as they are, they play. Who did they play this week? I know they finished with the Rams, right?
This week they're going to play the Texans at home, and then they got to travel to the LA Rams.
So it's obviously a winnable game against the Texans. So that if they clear that one, then I think that seals them to make the playoffs, because they'll probably lose to the Rams if the Rams are still vying for the division and or once again playoff seeding if that matters to them.
Home field at least while they're playing until they have to go to until they got to travel to the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to, you want the 2 or 3 seed, you obviously want the 2 seed because exactly you want that second week home game.
Correct.
So absolutely, I think the Niners can sneak a playoff if they beat the Texans, which they should, even with their backup, because they're playing at home and they still got a pretty good defense. But yeah, I'm not really concerned. The NFC looks pretty clear. It's the AFC is going to be the more fun.
Yeah, the only team that might be able to make some noise, and you mentioned them a minute ago, and that all depends on how their quarterbacks play, is New Orleans. New Orleans, I mean, it's just their defense is so good,
Hyde,
and they've got 2 easy. They got the Panthers coming in, and then they go to Atlanta.
I know, bro.
So they've got a shot to win 2 games. They can be 9-8.
The Grizz just said it though. It's Jacqueline Hyde.
No, because the quarterback situation is killing them.
Yes, it's
their
amazing.
Defense is
and I know,
solid.
But it's amazing to me, even with the quarterback situation they had, even against the Bucs. Man, they go to Tampa and shut them out 9-0. Yeah. Then I know, they're playing, with. Unfortunately, I heard a stat about these Notre Dame quarterbacks that they just can't win in the NFL anymore. They had
Shout out to Novus.
They had to start one of those guys against the Dolphins.
Again, listen, when you're a 4th-string quarterback, obviously,
and I totally forget. You guys keep talking for a second. I got to find
fourth on the depth chart doesn't give you very much wind under your sails to win a game.
At all. It's the last 24 starts of Notre Dame quarterbacks in the NFL have been losses. Brady Quinn, Jimmy Clausen, Deshaun Kaiser, and now...
if I would have told you at the beginning of the season, losing Jameis Winston would mean so much, would you have believed me?
I mean, listen, wow.
This is what having a Notre Dame quarterback start for your team apparently leads to. In the game against the Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins had 8 sacks, scored a defensive touchdown, held their opponent at 200 yards, under 200 yards total, allowed no touchdowns, allowed no third down conversions. This is the only time in the history of the Super Bowl era that a team accomplished all of those feats in the same game. That's what happens when you have a Notre Dame quarterback start for you.
The offensive line was horrible.
No, it's all the Notre Dame quarterback.
And on that note,
I don't want to believe it.
I think one thing we can say for sure, these last 2 weeks of the season, obviously there's been an extra game added this season. It's going to be interesting to see how the dust settles in both playoff pictures because there's can be a lot of shuffling of teams. Okay, so it's going to be pretty exciting. And also remember, the biggest difference here as well is it's not the first 2 seeds that get the bye. Only the first team, only the top seed in each division get a bye now. So again, a lot of things can happen here. There's a lot of scenarios. So it's going to be interesting to see these last couple weeks how it shakes out. So with that being said, gentlemen.
Well, there is one more thing I'd like to just touch up on. We heard it before we got on air, and that is the passing of John Madden. The NFL it's a sad day in the NFL with when John Madden passes away. Not only was he a historic and iconic coach in the NFL, but also he did a lot for the game itself as a commentator.
Right.
For many years.
Broadcaster, commentator, amazing.
Talking and giving us insight to different things. And I think he opened up the door to all these football guys that are now in the booth. Yep. Because if you look back and you remember back in the day, you never had football, really coaches and guys really get in there and draw things. And he was the first guy that started drawing things up on the on the telestrator, what have you.
I can say I grew up learning football from John Madden.
And broke that down. And
definitely.
Yeah, this current generation, they don't, a lot of them don't even know
this
who
current
he
generation thinks the man is a video game. That's the young kids
game.
think when they hear Madden, it's a football game. They don't know the guy behind the game's name. And that's a shame, man, because I'm telling you, man, he might be like, the older guy, he'd say some funny things. A lot of people who've made their careers as comedians. One, Frank Caliendo, I love him. He does great impersonations. And, there's a lot of funny things. He loves Brett Favre, all that good stuff. But the knowledge that man had as a coach, broadcaster, like, I don't know, to me, I like to compare him to like Dickie V from college basketball.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He was a great coach and then just became synonymous with broadcasting. You know what I'm saying? Like you just knew him. And like everybody loves Dickie V and everybody loves John Madden, bro. I mean, I look forward to listening to Thanksgiving calls and who's going to eat the turkey leg. And I think that was one of my favorite parts.
The turducken and the 6 legs. And
he'd break down. I loved how he would break down the X's and O's on how the guy went in for the turkey, And once again, that's the fun part of Madden. That's what people make. But that's how great he was, that he was awesome with his knowledge and was able to, transfer it to being just a phenomenal, just loved guy.
100% a larger than life figure
Absolutely.
in the sport. I mean, and, it is a sad day for the football world.
Yeah.
A wealth of knowledge,
yeah.
And it is a sad day because there's never going to be someone else like him, as a coach and a broadcaster. So well said, coach. And, he is going to be missed. We haven't seen him in the booth in a few years because obviously he gets old, but
he retired.
Such is life.
He left everything as an icon.
It's a sad
when
day.
he walked away from coaching, he was a winner. His worst record was 9-7 as a Raiders coach.
Yeah.
Won a couple Super Bowls. I mean, he was, a true leader as far as coaches were.
It's always a sad day when, someone leaves this earth. Obviously, it's not cool. But, 85-year-old man, he retired when he wanted to retire. I think, nobody heard from him the last couple of years because that's what people do when they retire. They just go away and enjoy their life.
Lived a full life.
He lived a full life.
Drove his, on his van and his RV.
All we do is celebrate for this guy. It's sad. That was awesome. He would always be in the RV and like the flying planes. I love that. But yeah, man, it's just we celebrate John Madden. Remember, he's not just a disc you put in and pick your team, man.
Yeah. One knee equals 2 feet.
1 knee equals 2 feet. What a great quote.
And on that note, we're going to leave this segment right here. Rest in peace, John Madden. We'll be back with the deep dive in a second. And we're back to close it up with this week's deep dive. We're going to go heavy on the bowl game picks. Coach, stick it to us.
Hey, calm down now.
Sorry, I'm a little excited.
We're, as you all know, Alabama is playing Cincinnati and Georgia is playing Michigan to be able to win or play for the national championship. I do think Alabama's going to cover the 13.5 points. I know everybody loves Cincinnati. Everybody's talking up Cincinnati. But I do think that Alabama's going to come in. They're going to take care of business. They'll be able to run the football like they did against Georgia. And I think they'll cover the 2 touchdowns. The more intriguing game is Michigan, where everybody loves Michigan. There's 70% of the bets are on Michigan. The line is at 7.5, 7. If it goes down to 7, I am going to lay the 7 and take Georgia.
Interesting.
I don't see Michigan in that framework against a Georgia team. That Georgia was favored by 6 against Bama.
See, so I agree with you with the Cincinnati Bama game. I do think that Cincinnati is going to run into a buzzsaw. I think that they'll keep it close in the first half, and then Bama runs away with it and imposes their will upon the game. With the Michigan Georgia game, I'm leaning towards Michigan on this. I know that you're keeping a close eye on that line to throw it down on Georgia, but I got a lot of confidence in Michigan this
That's what I like.
week.
That's what I like to hear.
And I'm going to tell you why. I think that they got some momentum. That run game is disgusting. It's something that I don't think Georgia has seen all season. Maybe against Bama, but I don't even think Bama's run game is as strong as Michigan's. I mean, they're legit on the ground. That O-line is serious. Their mixing of gap scheme and zone scheme is amazing. And that running back I think he's played himself into being a first-round pick.
But listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think a lot of the things that you're talking about fall into the recency bias because it's what you've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Fair point.
You saw Georgia get demolished by Alabama. You saw Michigan finally get over the hump against Ohio State. So you're going to look at it and say, these guys have a better run game. They have a game that perhaps Alabama won't be able to stop. When you take a look at the teams that Alabama has played, and even from the beginning of the season that they played Clemson in a tough situation, they beat them 10-3. They destroyed most of the competition they played against. They've shut down everybody's game except Alabama. And I think that the only reason that Alabama was able to do what they did was because Alabama was fed what they needed. They needed to hear you're garbage. They needed to hear you're not the team.
They got the bulletin board material at the exact perfect time.
They finally got what they needed. And they were able to go in there completely focused and on a buzzsaw. I think now the same thing happens with Georgia. I think now Georgia hears all the hype about Michigan, how good Michigan is. Michigan finally beat Ohio State. Michigan's number 2. Michigan. And I think Georgia comes in angry with a chip on their shoulder and to really set the tone as to who they are defensively and who they can be offensively.
I hear you. And I see both sides of it. Kirby Smart and his mint defense, for you football guys, it is legit. I want Michigan there, man, and I have a lot of confidence in it. Can't tell you why, but
I'm gonna also agree with Frankie on wanting Michigan, but not for the points he's saying. I just really like when they wear the all blues. I'm a sucker for you look good, you play good. If they happen to be the home team with the all blues, man, take Michigan all day. Now, having said that,
blue and maize is a legit combo.
Our coach here on the deep dive knows what he's talking about. And I completely agree with his Alabama. But I'm still going to go with Michigan outright winning this game.
And I'm going to tell you again, and I would feel more confident and I would feel better about Michigan if Michigan was not getting the bulk of the bets.
Correct.
If Michigan was at 40, 50-50, 30, I would say, you know what? The betting angle, could be towards Michigan. But when you have what's called the popular underdog, and that's what you have here.
Yes.
You have a super popular underdog. 8 out of 10 times, that popular underdog gets squashed.
I do agree. I'm going on the 2, though.
You get me? So
There are 2 chances.
There are two. There are 2 out of 10.
There's 2
I hear
out
you,
of 10,
buddy.
so I got 1 out of 2.
I got
Those
you. I
working
got
out.
you.
But I think also the game being played here in Miami, I think it's better. Like, had this game played like they played the Peach Bowl or Sugar Bowl, I think it'd be way better in Georgia. I think Michigan, for some reason, will be better playing off here.
No, but I also think Georgia's got some Miami kids. And
No, I know they got some Miami kids. I don't think it's about the
South
kids.
Florida
I just think
kids.
for some reason the game will be played better just because it's in the Orange Bowl. Now, another thing, I do believe you're right. Georgia's coming in hungry. They're upset. But Michigan's been upset for 5 years. They've been hungry for 5 years, I think. And I think Harbaugh's not going to let them. I think the funny thing with listening to Alabama wanting to be the underdog against Cincinnati, they're trying to take that role again to get hyped up. I think it really works for Georgia and Michigan. Both think they've been slighted. Georgia recently in 1 game, and I don't even understand why you lost to Alabama, which is everybody thinks is probably the best team in the country. Hey, you're going to lose to probably the best team in the country sometimes. So I think they still come out hungry, but I think Michigan, man, they've been playing so different this year that I just think no money on the line. Just me as a fan.
Right.
I think Michigan takes it. Maybe the betting me or, smart me would say different, but I would not be surprised. Hell, I'm taking them.
Listen,
Shocker, I'm taking them to win the whole thing.
To counter my own points and my own, I guess, bias, Michigan needs to keep the game close, and it needs to be, as you had stated about the Ohio State-Michigan game a few weeks ago, that it needs to be a slugfest, because if it turns into a track meet, it's a wrap, because Michigan...
It's an over-under game. I mean, it's a very low under. It's a 45-point over-under. So, again, points will be at a premium. That to me, the Michigan defense is a good defense.
I think the game under is a very solid.
Because to that point, Michigan can get very one-dimensional at times. Their quarterback, doesn't have a tendency to push it downfield. So it's going to be a load the box, man coverage type of game, and they're going to have to impose their will on the ground despite everyone in the stadium knowing that they're going to run the ball, 60% of the time.
Oh, and the OC of Michigan does a great job.
He does.
I think it's going to be a really good football game. As I said, looking at the numbers, looking at who's taking, I lean towards Georgia, just because I think that Georgia is going to come in there, and Michigan is a popular underdog. That to me, tips the scales.
I hear you.
Once that happens to me, it kind of gets me off of, taking you. Period.
Your contrarian strategy, sir.
Yes, sir. And speaking of which, I mean, I also, that's, one of the other bowls that's coming up in a couple of days is Iowa State against Clemson. I like Iowa State in this game. The line has moved towards Iowa State, but again, Clemson is getting 70% of the plays. They're getting all the bets, 7 out of 10 tickets. I think this for Iowa State is a coming out party. Mm-hmm. I think it's brand name.
Oh yeah, this is to me your classic. I'm betting because it's Clemson and they're playing Iowa State.
Correct.
And everybody's known Iowa State to be terrible forever. And the last couple of years, they're finally getting to become that team that maybe you gotta.
They didn't have a great season. They ended up going 8-4, 7-5, whatever the case is.
Even though with that record, I think they've been respected enough to get. Highly ranked as they were throughout the season.
Well, I mean, sadly, they weren't as successful in the Big 12 as they thought they could be.
But that's what I'm saying. They have solid talent, is what I'm saying. Like, they're a better team than their record.
What happens is the running back turned pro, so he's the only guy that's not going to be at the game.
Okay. I still think they
with that being said, I think there's a lot of change in Clemson. I think that this is a transitional game for Clemson. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With both OCs leaving and
ADs, everybody left. We're gonna see what Dabble's about for real.
Again, I do like Iowa State in this spot. I think Iowa State not only covers, but they win. For right now, that's pretty much all I've got. I really don't have many more. Any other college games that I'm really looking at? You got Rutgers filling in against Wake Forest. Arkansas is favored. The line has flipped against Penn State because a couple of Penn State players opted out. I still like Penn State in that spot. I don't know. I may even like them more now as an underdog. I'm not sure. I like Kentucky.
I would agree with you there. I think, Penn State. I think they should.
The other game I'm eyeballing is going to be Utah against Ohio State. I'm hoping that line gets back up over 5.5. I like Utah with the points. I do. I think.
What's the line again? 5.5.
It's 4.5 right now. It was at 6.5. It's moved down. A couple of good receivers from Ohio State are not playing. So
Olave
is opting out, and the other young man is also opting out. So again, I think that's going to be that's going to give Utah a chance. I think again they're going to be up for this game. Ohio State won't be.
They will not. Correct.
You get me? The same situation kind of happens with Clemson as well.
Which is a sad.
They're used to the
right. Which is a sad situation for Ohio State because you have a redshirt freshman QB who was just top 3 in the Heisman voting. He's coming off a career game, and
But you don't go to Ohio State to you go to Ohio State to win national championships.
Right. It's just it's frustrating to me when
the Rose Bowl don't mean what it used to be for these kids.
Right. Yes.
It ends up being somewhat of a letdown.
But it's still the Rose Bowl.
You're right, but it ends up being a little bit of a letdown spot.
That's why for a team like Utah, huge.
For Utah, it's a huge game. For Utah, it's something to really get up for. For Oklahoma, it's like for Ohio State, it's just like it's okay. Well, we're gonna win. It's not the same deal.
I guess I'm just voicing my frustration for these opt out situations because
this is the world we live in, though, man.
As a football lifer who's played the game, who's my career, I'm a coach by career. Right. That irks me because you don't. It turns into now you're showing your true colors as to why you're playing the game now, and you're playing the game to get paid now. Whereas the reason why you should be playing this game is because you love.
No one's more upset about the opt-out situation than I am. I took Pittsburgh at -3.5, and Pickett opted out, and now Michigan State is favored. Right?
Let me be clear. I do get the fact of you protecting your career because you're in line to make millions of dollars in the next 8 to 12 months. I get it. But you started playing this game at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old because you freaking love the game, and the competitor in you needs to be able to say, like, this is the Rose Bowl. Like, I'm playing for my guys, for my teammates, for
You're right, but how many guys
that I bleed and sweat.
With that being said, how many guys have not blown a knee in this game?
I hear you.
How many guys? And sadly, those guys, do not get the draft position that they would have. They lose out on a certain amount. And yes, those of us that are blessed to play this game, to make a living out of it, playing it.
You have to look at that.
You got to look at that, man. You put yourself in a position. Look, Alonzo Highsmith was in a position to be and got hurt. You got Melvin Bratton blew out his knee. And was having a great season.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
You know what I'm saying? You have these guys that have opportunities, and you have to take care of yourself to a certain extent. With that being said, I got nothing but respect for Matt Corral from Mississippi. The guy said, "Look, man, you guys got me here. You guys have gotten me to this pinnacle. I'm gonna play in the bowl game with you. We are together. We are here." And he's gonna play in the bowl. So, yes, for every story of the guys that opt out, you have those that choose to play.
He probably wouldn't be a high pick anyway, so he needs to play.
No, he is.
Yeah, but he needs to play a little bit more to keep.
No, but he's projected as a first rounder just because.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a very thin draft for quarterbacks.
Correct.
This year.
He's in there. He's in there, and he's had some huge.
He actually
games.
may be the first quarterback taken.
He's had some huge games.
Well, I heard that this might be the year that there might not be even a first rounder.
Oh, there's 5 projected first rounders just because it's a thin quarterback market.
So
and Pickett and Corral are those are the two top guys.
Right. It's between Pickett and Corral. It's between those two.
Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and flip over to a little bit of the NFL. Got some NFL this week. Got some deep dive dead fish here that we're going to go ahead and we like the stinkers. The first game we're going to take the Washington football team. Plus 3.5.
Good save, Coachy.
The Redskins plus 3.5. I think that
and
they're coming off of a blowout loss to the Dallas Cowboys. This is a great spot to take them at plus 3.5. The Bengals are up for a big shock. I think Kansas City's going to beat them. I'm going to take Kansas City -5. I'm going to lay the wood. I'm going to hold off. I'm hoping it gets down to 15. I think the Patriots demolish Jacksonville. And the reason I say that is because Bills' record versus rookie quarterbacks is unheard of. He beats them, shuts them out. They need a solid win. Just like the Grizz mentioned a few minutes ago, a little while ago. They're coming off a couple of losses. This is one of those wins that he needs to get those guys back on track to get going into the playoffs. This is directed directly to Derek. I'm taking the Titans -3.5.
Is this a shot at your other fantasy league?
At my other
chat?
fantasy league, yes. I'm letting him know the Dolphins, as much as, they'd be nice for them, they're going to end up losing this game.
Derek, you're on notice, son.
We're taking Tennessee -3.5. And to be honest with you, I'm hoping the Lions move up to 7.5 because I'm going to take them against Seattle. Everybody keeps thinking that Seattle is the Seattle of old, and
Of course
they're not. They're really
even
not.
close to that.
And one more nice one for you if you have the stomach to take it. If the Ravens line moves up to 4.5, it might be a nice spot to get them. You might get Lamar back. You might get Hundley. Los Angeles is playing at Baltimore, and the line's at 4. It just moved up to 4.
Very interesting. Very interesting on this deep dive situation.
All of those picks I love, except for, of course, the sadness of the Tennessee.
I understand.
Because I don't think you're going to cover. If they win, it will be a 1-point win by Tennessee.
Well, I mean, again, I'm giving it.
It will break my heart because that's how it is.
I'm giving it at 3.5. I haven't taken it yet. I would like to see if it goes to 3. I'm going to wait.
Is the Grizz making a prediction?
What prediction, brother? I already told you that I think they have a chance to win out and make the playoffs.
So you're clairvoyant all of a sudden?
My whole insides tell me
your innards.
We're gonna be disappointed because that's all I am. I'm disappointed. But having said that, what do you want me to? You want to put my name out there? You want me to lay? You want me to lay something? Man, I'll step out on the fucking shield for these guys, bro. Dolphins win this game outright. Come on, man. Let's get this flex going, man. Let's go, NFL. Put us on.
Good luck, boss. I think it's a matchup problem all the way around.
And this is the beauty of our
Don't do it to me, Ryan.
little shindig right now.
I liked you when you were
keep each
here.
other accountable for our predictions.
Always.
I mean, we're either going to be right or wrong. I mean, it's not that
That's
hard.
it. That's all it's about.
I'm not something special here unless I hit like
Which, by the
50
way,
in a row.
if you follow us on Twitter, I'm also putting out some of the plays that we're on for today. I put them on today. So far, we've gone 3-0.
Hey.
And we're waiting on Minnesota. We took Minnesota at -4.5 last week. It's gone all the way up to 6.5. Yeah. So I mean, Minnesota, I didn't put it out there. The line had already moved so much.
Not to mention, when I say something like the Dolphins will win because I'm saying that because out of heart, that doesn't mean anything, man. My boy Gil puts his hard-earned dollars on the line. Nah. That speaks volumes to your predictions, what your money says. And our man Gil is always a little bit more right than he is wrong, and that's all you need in this business, baby.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We keep grinding. We keep grinding.
That's all it is, man. It's a marathon.
We're starting to dabble into prediction models. It's getting scary on this side.
Holy crap. But listen, and with that being said, and Coach just said it right now, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. Both handles are at 2coaches1grizz. Okay? Send us feedback, give us suggestions, share, follow, listen. Okay?
Rate us, give us a 4, give us a 5, give us feedback on all the podcast medias.
Any and all constructive criticism is taken.
Just tell us what you want to hear. What is it that you, the listener, wants to hear? Because guess what? It's the last show, gentlemen, of 2021, and we need to come in strong for the new year. So I want to know from all you guys out there, what do you want from us? I mean, I believe we're giving you good stuff, but tell us what else you want. We're ready to give you more.
Listen, couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on all the platforms.
We're everywhere.
Gentlemen.
I believe your abuelita can find us. Just trust me.
We're everywhere you want to be.
Everywhere you need us to be.
Follow, subscribe, listen, and share with all of your sports junkies, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And
Remember,
ladies.
2 Grizz, 1 coach. Don't tell Abuelita 2 girls. Be careful.
No, 2 coaches, 1 Grizz, sir. There's only 1 Grizz.
2 coaches, 1 Grizz. That's what I said.
No, you said 2 Grizz.
No,
We don't, there's only 1 bear
I
on
said
this
2
podcast.
coaches and 1 Grizz, sir. Rewind that tape.
Everybody, Happy New Year. Be safe.
Exactly. Happy New Year. Be safe. We love you all. Send us your feedback. Share, follow, listen. Deuces.
Let's go Dolphins.